Hello class, this is Mr. Whibby and today we will be going over government, your learning objective. The students will be able to define the different types of governments, i.e. democracy, autocracy, oligarchy, and dictatorship. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so let's look at the definitions for government. The first one states that the political direction and control exercised over the actions of members, citizens, or inhabitants of communities, societies, and states. Direction of the affairs of a state, community, or political administration. More importantly, let's look at the second definition. The second definition states government is the direct control, management, and or rule of citizens' conduct. These are the the definitions of government. One may also ask, why do civilizations even need governments? Where here are some of the things that governments provide. Governments are here to maintain order, to manage resources, to provide protection against outside forces and threats, to control the working or slave class, to manage innovations. Innovations is another word for creations. To create infrastructure. Infrastructure is things like schools, roads, anything that is used to ensure that the society operates. To trade with other countries or civilizations. Students, you may want to go ahead and look up the definition for infrastructure so that you will know what that is, because that's a very important concept to know and understand. Our first type of government that we're going to look at is a monarchy. And so a monarchy is a type of government ruled by a king or queen. The monarch normally has absolute power. So being that they have absolute power, when they govern or rule over citizens, they can do whatever they see is fit for their country or their civilization. How is the authority passed from one person to another? In a monarchy, the authority is passed on through heirs. It's hereditary. So once a king or queen dies, his or her position goes to his or her heirs, the oldest son, or someone who is of that bloodline. Most monarchs are believed to be descendants from a divine bloodline. They are somehow, some way linked to being like divinely put in position, or they are considered to be gods or godlike. The next type of government that we're going to look at is an autocracy. An autocracy is a government ruled by a single person having unlimited power, a despotism. Power or domination over citizens through the threat of punishment and or violence. So in an autocracy is a strong centralized government. They use the military or a police state to control who does what, and the laws are coming directly from the leader. The next form of government is a dictatorship, and it's very similar to the previous form of government. A dictatorship is a country ruled by a single leader. The leader has not been elected and may use force to maintain control. Sometimes dictators are elected, but they just take over the government, and we'll get into that as we go further along into the PowerPoint. In a dictatorship, the military is used to maintain control and authority over citizens. Citizens have little to no control over the laws being passed. Normally, a dictator comes into power through a coup d'etat, or forcible removal of an existing government through violent means. And so that's why I said a dictator could have been elected and then he uses the military to, overthrow the present government and forms a dictatorship. The thing about a dictatorship is, in order to maintain control, a dictator needs a strong government who supports him or her. Let's go ahead and look at an oligarchy. An oligarchy is when a government is ruled by a small group of people that have control over a country, organization, or institution, more so a country. The people in power may be distinguished by nobility, wealth, education, religious beliefs, ethnicity, or political and military control. More so, an oligarchy is when just pretty much a small group of people, through their wealth, controls a country. Let's go ahead and look back at the Gilded Age. Most historians believe that the Gilded Age shows you that money could be used to control a democracy. And so some historians believe that the American government was controlled and ran by the Carnegies and the Rockefellers. This shows you that sometimes even wealthy and powerful people could use the government to benefit them and to ensure that they have control of the resources and the wealth. That's an oligarchy, when a small group of people have control and they run it. The next form of government that we'll be talking about is a theocracy. And a theocracy is when a government is a government in which the priests or religious leaders rule in the name of God. The laws are directly connected to the philosophy within a religious book. The governments are often connected to monarchies or dictatorships. People tend to be compliant because the government is connected to their religion, and no one wants to upset God. So a theocracy is pretty much a government that is connected to like a major religion, and the laws are created and formed based on the religious beliefs. So if a theocracy was connected to Christianity, then you would see that our government is connected to what is stated in the Bible, or Islam, or any of those other religions. They use the philosophy of their religious book to determine the laws of the land in that country. Now, just kind of ending it off, we will start getting into the democratic forms of government. So you have a democracy. A democracy is a form of government in which the people exercise the authority of the government through the power of voting. A democracy rests upon the principle of the majority rules and that citizens of the states have individual rights. In order to have a democracy, you have to have fair, frequent, and well-managed elections. Listen again, once again, in order to have a democracy, you need fair, frequent, and well-managed elections. So that point says fair, frequent, and well-managed elections are essential to a democracy. That's what a democracy is about. It's about people having control of the government, and they are able to vote on the laws that they want to see in their civilization. Now, this next one is a republic. A republic is a form of democracy, but it's different. So in a republic, or let's go ahead and define a republic. A republic is a state in which the supreme power rests in a body of citizens entitled to vote, and it's exercised by representatives chosen directly or indirectly by them. In a republic, the head of the government is not a monarch or any other type of hereditary head of state. So, in a republic, what ends up happening is you vote for someone to represent you. So you have elections, you elect a senator, you elect some form of congressman, you elect somebody to represent you. That person goes to a place, and the people that are elected to represent, different groups, communities, cities, states, whatever like that, they then create the laws that govern the people. In a republic, if people are unhappy with their elected officials, they vote them out. So in order to have a strong republic, people have to vote. Okay, so one of the final forms of government that we're going to look at is anarchy. What is anarchy? You'll see two totally different definitions. Anarchy is the absence of government and absolute freedom of the individual regarded as a political ideal. So when you look at anarchy, people who believe, or people that are considered anarchists, believe that human beings do not need governments or any sort of organization to live in a society. Now, you're going to have a different type of definition from anarchy or about anarchy from other people. Some people view anarchy as the state of disorder due to the absence or non-recognition of authority. So the first one would be like a liberal definition of anarchy. That's pretty much stating that human beings don't need governments to actually live in an organized society. Some people believe that we will evolve past government, where we are able and we are good enough as people to basically exist or coexist without these forms of organized government. Others, a more conservative view of anarchy is anarchy causes a state of disorder. It's like a breakdown in society because there is no form of government because governments have failed. So to cap it off, to finish it all, what we're going to do, you guys are going to have a writing assignment. What I want you to do is, if you were in a position to start your own civilization, a new civilization on an isolated island somewhere on Earth, what form of government would you use? Explain why you would use this form of government, why you chose that form of government. Really think about it. Really think about it. You are the person in control. You are the person that can rule your society. Think about, the forms of government we just learned about on the PowerPoint. Choose one of those. Type up your answer. Email your answer to me at awhitby@judsonISD.org. And it's right there on the PowerPoint. Okay, just as I said before, I hope everybody have a good day. You guys are safe. You guys are staying COVID free.